The Treehouse Stories are tales from near and far, from the country to the towns. Let's all gather round. Of mice and dragon tales, to shipwrecks and big whales, in the mountains and the seas, for you and me. We'll laugh and dance and sing, with princes, queens, and kings. The Treehouse Stories are from near and far. Come into our treehouse.
The Treehouse Stories! Little Toot's Great Adventure. Would you like a cup of tea?
Well, yes, my dear.
Be careful. It is quite hot.
Thank you. Could I try some of your marvelous cake?
Did somebody mention cake? Yes. Here you go, sir. We've been expecting you. Thank you, madam. Please excuse my tardiness. Something just came up. You don't need to worry. We're awaiting our dear friend, Antoine. He's not coming. Today's his birthday. What are you talking about? He celebrated with us last year. Don't you remember that?
Yes, but he's going to his dad's this time. His parents separated, so he has 2 houses.
Yeah, 2 houses, 2 birthdays, 2 times the birthday gifts, and twice the cake. Not really nothing at all. It must be really hard for Antoine. Yeah, that's true. Do you think it makes him sad?
There's a book that talks about this. Antoine told me it's one of his favorites. Would you like me to read it?
Yeah!
It's called Little Two's Great Adventure. Mrs. Two and Mr. Two loved each other. They loved each other so much that they made a marvelous little Two. Little Two grows up surrounded by his parents' laughter. He loves it when his mom and dad embrace him, hugging him securely between them. He feels sheltered. He feels safe. As time goes by, Mr. and Mrs. Two embrace less and less often, and sometimes they even argue. But they still tenderly embrace their little Two. And then one night, Mrs. Two doesn't come home. The next morning, when she finally did come home, she said that she had time to think and that she doesn't love Mr. Two anymore. Little Two wonders how such a thing could ever happen.
They loved each other so much at the start. I don't understand.
The point is that even if they do separate, parents will always love their children a lot. Mrs. Two moves to a brand new house and takes Little Two with her. Little Two sees Mr. Two from time to time, but it never seems like enough. Little Two feels as though he's been cut in half, right down the middle.
That's why Antoine has to do everything twice. He's been cut in 2 pieces.
Mr. and Mrs. Two did everything they could to help Little Two keep his spirits up. Sometimes they even ate together at a restaurant. Little Two was happy. One day, Mrs. Two introduces Little Two to a man. "This is my boyfriend," she says. Because Little Two is very polite, he says, "Hello." And he adds, "I will call you Mr. Nothing if you don't mind." Mr. Nothing is very nice. But the problem is, he means nothing to Little Two. Then it gets worse. He moves into the house with them.
What? First of all, she has a new boyfriend, and now he's going to live with them too? It must be really hard for little thing.
It gets even worse. Mrs. Two and Mr. Nothing love each other so much that they make a little thingamabob.
Oh, look, he's so cute. Oh, no, definitely not. This is not good. What's wrong? What do you think they are, a baby? Come on, you guys.
Little Two calls the little thingamabob nothing at all. He does not look at him, does not hug him, nor does he play with his little hands. He completely ignores him.
That's not fair. He's really cute. Well, it's not always easy to have a little brother or sister, especially for a little thing Artie couldn't do.
When you were born, I also didn't want to look at you. I was jealous, even though you were also really cute. Mwah. Little Nothing at All started to grow up too. My little nothing at all. My big brother, my big everything. He starts to speak soft words only to little Two, who is still cut in two down the middle. My little everything to me. Very soon, little Two laughs with little nothing at all. Little Two has grown up more and more. He starts to feel all the little bits of his insides gluing themselves back together. Little Wolf approaches. Big Wolf is worried that he will be bigger than himself. Of course, it tickles and it bites, but his two parts are slowly coming together to form a whole. And so, it was that little Two, over the course of time, becomes a wonderful big Two. One day, he takes his little brother's hand, and he takes him to see his dad. Mr. Two takes his big Two in the arms and says, "He has the same eyes as you." And big little Two smiles with all of his heart.
Oh, little thing is so happy, just like at the start. That's nice. Yeah, he's no longer cut in two. If Antoine has everything twice, do you think he has a second treehouse? Certainly not. There is only one treehouse. Sure?
Of course. The treehouse is us.
So does that mean we're kind of like a family?
Of course. Just think about it. Between the four of us, we are one big happy family.